Hello, my name is Patricia, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 22 of the second series of the Haiku P podcast. I should start today with an apology because, as you will know, this podcast is late. I was on holiday. It was planned after I did the schedule for the year, and so I had no option but to release the podcast late. I'm really sorry. But on the plus side, I had a very nice holiday, despite being caught up in an earthquake. But that's another story. So today's podcast is special. It's a podcast on the theme of men. Why did I decide on this topic? Well, around about this time last year, if you remember, we created a podcast on the theme of women. Actually, it was episode 36 of the first series. And I thought it was most important to add some balance, and so this year we're writing about men. I know this has been a difficult topic. Many of you have written to tell me so, but as with the other topics we've worked on together this year, you've done a splendid job, and I think I ended up with more submissions on this topic than any of the others for the year. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted their work. It's been a pleasure reading it. And just a quick reminder that the topic for December is ekphrastic verse. Haiku or senryu, it doesn't matter. But the deadline is fast approaching, the 9th of December. Don't forget, emails only. Now, back to the podcast. As usual, I'll start with pieces of work that have been published elsewhere, and then we'll hear from some new poets, or at least poets new to the podcast. And last, and definitely not least, from our regulars. Don't forget to check out the show notes at poetryp.com, where you'll learn a little bit more about the poets featuring today. So, without further ado, let's crack on. From the Touch of a Moth, Sheila M. Ross. White Angora on his navy jacket, last dance. From M. Shane Pruitt in Failed Haiku. On a quiet lake, grandfather's fishing tales, I was hooked. Under the Basho, from Wendy C. Bialek. He's so controlling, he wants to pick out her next husband. And I read this next one by Timothy Hawkes in an article by Ferris Gilly. 40th birthday. He leaves just beginning to change colour. Full of Moonlight. Glenn G. Coates. A wrist too thin for father's watch. Deer Trail. Prune Juice. Issue 29. Terry L. French. Farm to Table. A cow patty sticks to Daddy's boot. Antonietta Losito. Also in August, I discuss with my husband closing windows. And this last one's from me, which was in the Bones Journal that was recently published. Heidi's Grandad. I speak no dialect to deaf ears. Now let me introduce some poets to you that we've not heard from before. First up is Jason Richardson, a poet from Australia. It seems like he's really involved in the creative arts. He's published a book, Earthwords, as a result of his involvement in an exhibition called Earthwords and Soundscaping at Griffith Regional Art Gallery in New South Wales, Australia. This is his verse. All those strong white men easily stirred and bitter, best after a meal. Barbara Carlson is a retired teacher from the US. I know she keeps her hand in by helping other people to realise their writing potential. She's very active in her retirement, enjoying some activities like white water rafting, which frankly I've only tried once and nearly killed myself doing it. And she has skydiving on her bucket list. Now, in between all that excitement, she's written this for us. Stepping from the shower, watching his life disappear. Foggy mirror. Nadia Stoilova. Nadia is from Sofia in Bulgaria. She's previously worked in IT and banking, but now she's a stay-at-home mum. A lifelong poet, she discovered haiku about 2 years ago in a poetry workshop, but has really only been writing haiku seriously for a year. It's been a great year, though, in which she has been successful not only within the Bulgarian Haiku Association, but has written English haiku that has appeared in many English language publications. And today she's writing in English for us. Apologising for not giving me his seat. An old man. Next up is D.V. Rosic. Đurđa was born in Croatia and works as a writer and translator. She immerses herself in haiku and is the principal editor of the haiku print magazine Iris and webzine Iris International. And she founded and still works within the Haiku Association Three Rivers in Croatia. On the window, her gardener watering the setting sun. Love his English, the way he says W. Pat Gia. In many ways, when I read Pat's short bio, it could be mine. A career in sales and marketing, someone who writes and takes photographs on a daily basis, and is inspired by nature. But, of course, there are differences, particularly in our location. This Patricia lives in the US. Hiding in the fringes of his youth, buckskin shirt. Bud's new life, daggers in her eyes shoot green. Isabella Kramer is another of this community's German poets. Like many of you, her creative talents are abundant. She writes, she paints, and she's a commercial photographer. And this is what she's written for us. Deep roots, the rat on his head turns round and round. Abandoned backyard, the half-smile of a goblin in the darkest corner. Poga Humayun Dundiwala is from Bangladesh. Combo human with X and Y chromosomes. Man. Alison Brewood is from Scotland and writes using the sashai method, regarding each haiku as a souvenir of a real experience. She uses her haiku to make presents for her loved ones, hand-stitched booklets. Now isn't that a lovely idea? Something your loved ones can treasure. The fisherman's line, catching the morning sun, a spider's web. And the last of our new poets, Michelle Pratt. Not only a poet new to the podcast, but we're very honoured to be hearing some of her very early works. Communicating with Michelle, you can really hear the joy she finds in her writing. His evolution gratifying all women, dishes washed and dried. Ripley muscles, a jagged mountain range to climb. Now I'd like to welcome back regular contributors of our community and hear what they've created for us today. Hello everyone, and thanks to you all. From Peter Draper. An old man browsing cheap wine, tasselled shoes. White van in the poppy field, 3 high-vis jackets. She's away for a few days, the seat's up. James Young. When he is alone, a man is not a man, but his person. How many light bulbs does it take to change a man? Oh, come on. John Hawkhead. He, him, the tedious journey to the same old thing. Late drive home, what she wanted to say caught in his glare. Andrew Sire. Women's complexness balance men's simplicity, unquestionably. Christina Chin. Men auction the rainforest, going, gone. Bournemouth Square. The old man busks. I kick up my heels. Kim Russell. Y chromosome makes all the difference. Fallen fig leaf. Hifsa Ashraf. Sunday on call. The woodpecker knocks at the window. Sole breadwinner, his pockets stuffed with free coupons. Catherine E. Winnick. A gentleman, erotic and statuesque, passing my way. Pearl. Dark feathers, the blackbird invokes night. Windy day, he watches her dress. Richard Bailey. Born with a trumpet, called to play with Gabriel, marching with the saints. King of human rights, flawed yet motivational, sacrificial lamb. Fantasy Führer, laughter and Holocaust mix, incompatible. David Oates. Holding the baby, carefully placing his feet away from my groin. No grandchildren, he plays peekaboo with a strange toddler. M. Shane Pruitt. A kingfisher scolds from the river bridge, old men laughing. Night fishing, the silence we shared, crossing no lines. David A. Estringle. We walk on 4 legs, 2 legs, 3 legs, none. Metamorphosis of death. Robert Horrobin. Kneading an old racist's knees. The Black Cat. Father's Day. Too late to tell him. Roberta Beach Jacobson. Slow dance. He whispers his password into my ear. Argument so loud he fails to hear her heartbeat. Unable to mend all the nets. Lone fisherman. Torsten Neuhaus. Grindstone, recalling my uncle's voice in the workshop. Fisherman, a gathering of scales. Cyril Soliman. Many fallen leaves, a man and his toddler. Night shift. Miniko Takahashi. A man's night skin, the warmth of the bed. A new moon. A boy in a man, picking up the lost ball in withered green. Ilan Sharan Gunez Karan. A woman is your equal. A woman is your equal. A woman is your equal. Comfort her, protect her, then call yourself a man. Marilyn Ward. His large ears, the barber's new haircut. Mersey Tunnel. I see to the end of his yawn. Mark Gilbert. Male chaffinch, the short attention span of the cracked pane, the swelling in the waiting room. Vandana Parashar. Wedding stage. Papa holds my hand before the groom does. Single dad. All the clips on her hair mismatched. Marion Clark. Feeling bad about forging his signature. Mother-in-law's birthday. November rain. His head cold, much worse than mine. S. Zylenga. A delay between the lightning and the thunder. He flashes a smile. Jonathan Roman. Sea change. The swell of every chest when she enters. Iceberg. Most of him will stay submerged. Sadly, that's all I have for you today. I really enjoyed putting the podcast together, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as well. And don't forget, the show notes contain all the verses I've read to you today, plus a little bit more information. Now, being British, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but I'm aware that many of you do, and so I'd like to wish you a belated Thanksgiving. And in the spirit of that celebration, I'd like to say how grateful I am to all of you for coming along and listening to the podcast, and to those of you who took the next step and submitted work. Thank you all very much. Because I'm so late with this podcast, there'll be another one coming along on Monday, and I look forward to being with you again. Until then, keep writing. I always worry after I've taken a break that I've forgotten something. So, if I have forgotten something or you'd like more information from the show notes, just email me and I'll put it right. Ciao!